welcome to a brand new Corn Nation Overreaction Revisited. This week, Nebraska versus Michigan State. I'm your host, Greg Mahochko, and there's my good friend, fellow Husker fan, and broadcast buddy, Mr. Hoss Reuter. And we bring this to you on YouTube, but our live shows can be found on YouTube, Facebook, and X. Make sure that you tune in Thursday nights at 9 o'clock Central for the Five Heart Podcast live, Monday nights for John Johnston's Monday Night Therapy, and Tuesdays, All the Right Movies with Andy Ketterson. And Lord knows what else we'll add to the roster. But we're so happy to be able to bring this to you on a Friday evening. Hopefully you've got nothing else going on because, in my area all week it's been raining. We're getting that tropical storm barrel drifting up the Mississippi River into southern Illinois. Hoss, as we're recording this on Tuesday night, it has been raining almost nonstop for almost 24 hours.
I will gladly trade you because you know what the weather report here in eastern Nebraska is? Hot and shitty.
Yeah.
Hot and shitty. So I'll trade you for the rain.
Well, you can have half of it, but we know we got some corn. We got to get soaking up some of that. This week's a very special episode for a couple reasons. One, as we discussed last week, when we beat Purdue, that was the last win of the season. So this begins 4 episodes in a row of Nebraska's one-score losses. November 4th.
It was
East
not a November to remember.
No. You were there. East Lansing, Michigan. The Spartans and our beloved Cornhuskers. A mere 63,134 in attendance for what would be the Spartan 20-17 win over the Huskers. First of all, why did you choose the East Lansing game to attend?
That's a great question. So starting in 2018, my buddies and I started picking one road game every year to go to. So we'd all been to a lot of home games as Husker fans growing up in the Omaha Metro. And so that year we chose Northwestern in Chicago, and we lost. That was when Frost gave up a 10, 14-point lead with 5 minutes left, and we lost in overtime. In 19, we went to Colorado and Boulder and lost after giving up a 17-0 lead, lost in overtime. And then we didn't go to one in 20 because of COVID.
There was something going on that year.
Yeah, I can't really remember that year. It's kind of just faded in the background now.
No, we wish.
And then in 21, we went to Minnesota, and we lost 30-23 because that was the game that Tanner Morgan completed like his first 16 passes in a row. And so we, as the three of us, we never saw a road win together. Okay. We call ourselves the Road Dogs, kind of like old WWF from the late 90s, the Road Dogs, you didn't know your ass better call somebody, that whole thing. And so we never saw a win. We never saw a win. And then one of the Road Dogs, my best friend Ray, he passed away in November 22. And the very first road game I went to after that was against Iowa that year, 2 weeks later, and we won. So thanks, Ray. I'd like to think that's a nice gift, bestowed, how much suffering could one man take if we would have lost to Iowa through that.
In the old game show vernacular, he left you with a lovely parting gift.
Yeah. Beat Iowa. Next day on my 32nd birthday, we hire Matt Rule. Yeah. And then so in 2023, the Road Dogs we reformed, we regrouped. So it was me, my buddy Andrew, and then Ray's younger brother AJ joined us, to take his spot. So we thought, hey, let's go to a road game. We want to go to a stadium, a place we have not been yet. And so the only one that really worked for us was East Lansing, because I have this rule. I'm not going to Madison, Wisconsin and subjecting myself to that abuse from their fans until I'm confident we can finally do that. So we chose East Lansing, and we left Omaha at about 5:30, maybe 6:30 a.m. Friday, November 3rd. Drove to East Lansing, went through good old Gary, Indiana. And East Lansing left a lot to be desired.
I remember you came back and you were not overwhelmed.
No. Like the wait staff, the waitering and waitressing there, wolf.
In the town.
Some of the, I'm a pretty understanding guy. Like, if you're my waiter or waitress, like, you have to practically personally insult me to you not to get a tip. Like, hey, the kitchen's late with it. Hey, it's all good. I've worked food service before when I was younger. I understand. Some things are just out of their control. But when you're like visibly rolling your eyes at people as they're kind of like, oh, I don't really know what I want on the menu yet. Or you walk into a restaurant that has empty tables everywhere and they tell you it's a 90-minute wait. Like, and of course, wearing Husker gear, so it's one of those things. But then it just kind of looked like East Lansing, Michigan was stuck in about 1992. It looked, East Lansing, Michigan is the Kmart of Big Ten college towns.
Oh, hold on. I got to write that one down. That needs to be a part of the show.
And you know me. You know my hatred of Iowa. I've never even insulted Iowa City this badly. Which,
realistically, they're due.
Iowa City's not the worst town in the world.
Oh, don't. You're going to start saying nice things about them, and
that's the only nice thing I'll say about them. That and they have a very good Reuben at the Vine.
Hold on. So East Lansing is the Kmart of Big Ten towns?
Of Big Ten college towns, yeah.
And what was that about Iowa City?
Iowa City's not that bad.
It's not that bad. That's the only – these are going in the show. I apologize, folks. They're like, this is peek behind the curtain, but if I don't type it out now, I will forget it because the rest of this work.
We did not script this Kmart line. It just came out of nowhere.
So, again.
Do you want me to tell you about the hotel in East Lansing, too?
I feel like you should. We need, in all honesty, because Nebraska fans travel so well.
Yeah.
And I'm okay from this platform. I'm even okay if you say the name of the hotel so that our fans can know not to go to certain ones.
Okay. All right. So we got to the hotel first when we got into East Lansing, and then we dropped off our stuff and went into East Lansing. Well, the hotel was in Diamonddale, I think is how you pronounce the suburb of East Lansing. So we dropped off our stuff, went straight into East Lansing to get some food, get a few beers, maybe hit up a Meijer store, which Meijer stores are awesome. Love them. Come to Omaha, please. And so we did that, and we go back to the hotel. And so there's three of us. So I booked a room at a Comfort Inn Suites in Diamonddale, Michigan, which I stayed at one in Sioux Falls the year before, and it was phenomenal. So nice, But we stayed at the one in Diamonddale. There's three of us grown adult men. We had two queens, and then we brought an air mattress for the third. So AJ is his name. He had the air mattress. And so he went down to get some sheets from the front desk, and they gave him urine-stained sheets. So urine-stained sheets. And so I basically had to just be like, here, buddy, like, here's an extra, like, blanket I had just, like, from, you go on a road trip, you got stuff in the back of your car, stuff like that. So give him a blanket, gave him the comforter off the bed that I was in because I was just like, I just need the top sheet and I'll be fine. So, yeah, we were not off to a great start. Not off to a great start at all. And then the next morning, we got up bright and early and drank some Coors Banquet beers in the parking garage downtown before the game. And then, I couldn't get Yuengling in Michigan. Otherwise, it would have been Yuengling.
Did you ever watch that reel or TikTok or whatever I sent you about Coors Banquet?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. No, the one that I sent you was like the redemption. It was the guy who was
I thought you were talking about the first one.
No. Yeah, I sent you the one I knew you would like.
It's a good beer. It does have hints of banana. It does.
I don't know if I've ever heard that.
But yeah, then we went to the beautiful campus up there in East Lansing. But I mean, when they say on the banks of the red cedar, there's cedar trees everywhere. It's absolutely gorgeous on campus. Their stadium looks like it hasn't been renovated since about 87 inside. The exterior, the facade looked nice. And they're a very late arriving crowd in East Lansing. Their fans weren't too bad. They sold beer at the stadium, but when you got to go up and down 7 ramps to get beer or go to the bathroom, I walked my watch said I walked 21,000 steps that day, and I was drinking some Sparty Party by Great Lakes Brewing. Good beer, by the way.
Okay, all right,
good, really good beer. And but as for the game, from about that first drive, I knew we were kind of in for a weird one, kind of a Big Ten 11 a.m. Twilight Zone special, where I think it was John Bullock misses the check from the sideline from Tony White on 3rd and 3, and the tight end's wide ass open in the flat and takes it down the field for a big gain. And honestly, I know that's on the first drive. I know it's probably, to some they might think it's a pretty insignificant and small data point, but that kind of encapsulated that there were just some issues. That game was a mental loss. It really was, where defense, they played well, but they never generated a sack the entire game. I don't think we generated a turnover in that game either. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're not wrong. Here's the thing. I mean, just a quick look at the stats. No interceptions, no fumbles. Whereas Nebraska being Nebraska, we had 2 interceptions.
The first interception, my God. Heinrich Harburg's got Alex Bullock wide ass open on the 5-yard line. And, in baseball, they use the term a meatball across home plate. He threw a friggin' meatball up there in the air. And that thing hung up in the air like a punt, where it's picked off by, I believe it was Mangum, their safety that ended up transferring to Michigan after looking at coming to Nebraska. But if he throws that thing just on the money, Alex Bullock walks in for a touchdown. The officiating in this game was terrible too. And this was the game that I believe that there was a touchdown right before halftime that was very clearly not a touchdown that Michigan State it got upheld.
Yeah. Well, I mean, midway through the second quarter, the 11-yard pass from Hauser to Fitzpatrick. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then we scored right before halftime with the field goal.
It was a field goal. Heinrich Harburg had a rushing touchdown in the first half.
He did. That was early in the first. I mean, it was 3-0 Michigan State after the first quarter. Nebraska put 10 on the board, so we went into halftime tied at 10-all. And the difference, I mean, realistically, the difference in the game is the third quarter. The only points in the third quarter, but third quarter field goal from Michigan State, which, I mean, you do your best as a defense, but the kid kicks a 50-yarder, and then we had Emmett Johnson trying to get us close he had the touchdown late in the game, and that brought it within 3 after, Michigan State went up 20-10 on the 25-yard pass from Levitt, who replaced Hauser. And that was Foster who had the I'm cheating. I don't remember any of this shit. I'll be 100% honest. I don't know how you do.
I was a little under the influence of the game, so my memory's a little hazy.
But here's the thing. Nebraska offensively, 0 penalties.
Yeah, 0 penalties. Played a very clean game penalty-wise. Did not play a clean game execution or turnover-wise.
No.
And how many yards did Emmett Johnson have in this one?
I'm so glad you asked that. Emmett Johnson had 57 yards.
On how many carries?
13.
Again, this was a point of debate as we were leaving the game. Emmett Johnson at this point in the season needed to start being about a 20 to 25 carry guy.
Harburg had 14 carries for 37 yards.
Yep.
Because he got sacked for a total of 38 yards.
Yep.
Jalen Lloyd
line did not play a great game.
Was not the. And here's the thing: we just talked last week in that Purdue game about how that was, maybe the most complete effort, on both sides of the ball. That's not me. That must be you.
Yeah, it's me.
and to kind of come out and I guess I'll say it, shit the bed a little bit.
It was a shit the bed game. There's a lot to be said about going on the road. It's always tough going into a hostile environment. Well, sometimes it sounds paradoxical, but sometimes going into a sleepy environment on the road can be just as bad because you're just not sharp. You don't have that sense of, ready to take on whatever danger lurks there. And being there in person, that's one of the sleepiest crowds I've ever seen. I mean, it was on par with Northwestern, playing a game at Northwestern sleepy. And the fact that we lost to a team that had old Mel Tucker just get fired for doing some very spurious things.
that happened just a few weeks prior or earlier in the season.
Yep.
It wasn't.
It wasn't very long beforehand. Maybe a couple weeks.
Yeah. And that seems to be Nebraska's pitfall.
That we're a get right game.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of the things that frustrated me a lot about this game was our own game plan. It really felt like we tried to target the intermediate zones on the field, in the intermediate passing game. It seemed like we had a few shots lined up to take, when the opportunities presented themselves, but we just could not get that roof, that hard roof of the defense, to back off enough to respect the passing game to run the ball. So, too many words, too long didn't read. We were trying to pass to set up the run in this game, where I really think that we probably should have taken more of an approach like we did against, Purdue or Northwestern, where it was really, just hammer, get somebody open deep,
I'm a big believer in run the damn ball.
Yep.
Nebraska as a team had 41 rushing attempts, and you can include the times that Harburg got sacked because I think they do statistically. So we can count those compared to 28 throwing attempts. Finished with 129 yards, but Heinrich was sacked 7 times. Nebraska sacked Michigan State thrice.
They didn't really do anything exotic up front against.
No,
it's not like we were facing a lot of simulated pressures or, zone blitzes, fire zones, anything like that. They really just kind of kicked our ass up front on the line of scrimmage in this game.
Was it Alante Brown you were talking about with that 42-yard pass?
No, it was a touchdown. What was it? A touchdown?
I don't know.
Alante Brown threw a double pass in this game.
Maybe that's what it was. Yeah, but it wasn't for a touchdown.
No,
it was just it's something you don't expect. It was. What was
the touchdown to go up 20-10? What was that?
That
touchdown?
Was from Levitt to Foster. That was a 25-yard touchdown pass.
That's the one.
So
where it was very clearly bobbled, and hit the ground. And the fact that they didn't even, reverse it was just insane. So, I mean, you're looking at, to quote, friend of the show, Al Pacino, life's a game of inches. So it's 6 inches in front of your face.
That is definitely an Al Pacino impression.
Hoo-ah. Let me tell you the 2 greatest syllables in the English language. This is a family show. I can't say it.
I didn't have that on my checklist for the format tonight.
I'm actually a big Al Pacino fan because I like the movies.
Yeah.
Scent of a Woman, Heat, and I really like The Godfather, obviously. But
I still keep seeing clips of Scent of a Woman pop up on like reels and things like that. And I need to actually take the time to actually watch it. Him and a young Chris O'Donnell,
It's a young
Philip Seymour Hoffman. Yeah,
it's a really good movie. Bradley Whitford from West Wing, and then he's in Billy Madison.
I was gonna say you go West Wing. Yeah. I was like Billy Madison.
But no, it's a great movie. I watch it every year the night before Thanksgiving. So it's set around Thanksgiving.
It just goes to show to all the viewers / listeners out there, I'm easily a decade older than Haas. Easily. But the mental maturity, because he's like, yeah, Bradley Whitford from the West Wing. And I'm like, yeah, from Billy Madison. I mean,
yep. Hey, you got me, man. You got me.
I think that you got me. Yeah, upper hand, Haas on that one.
But no, speaking of our good friend of the show, Al Pacino, I rewatched Devil's Advocate on Sunday for the first time since I had first seen it about 4 or 5 years ago.
I saw that like 20-something years ago.
That had to be where he became the caricature of himself. The Al Pacino, like
over the top.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like I watched Dog Day Afternoon last week for the first time.
Okay.
And it's just like I think Pacino's like 28 when it came out. He's just playing a normal character, not not being like, tell you what, Greg, 6 inches in front of your face.
So, all right. So this is important. I didn't know we were going to have this sidebar. At what point could you say the character became for Nicolas Cage? Like when did he go all
I think it was it Ghost Rider?
Oh, you know what? That's a guilty pleasure movie of mine.
I love National Treasure.
Oh, I think yeah.
And you know what? I watched Leaving Las Vegas for the first time last year. And anyone who says what took you so long, I was like 8 when it came out. That's what took me so long. Great movie. I mean, you talk about a portrayal of somebody dying from late stage alcoholism. He did a phenomenal job playing that.
There are moments too in Face Off, in Gone in 60 Seconds, where he has that like, yeah, but I think you're right. Ghost Rider might be where, he went full Nick Cage. The movie that I just saw is finally on one of the streaming platforms. I don't know if it's Peacock or what, that I wanted to see in theaters, but I didn't, is The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent with him and Pedro Pascal.
Yes,
and it's
I'd like to see that too.
Him as himself. It is. It's on Peacock right now. Maybe on Hulu as well. So, no, Peacock for sure. Without if you have the subscription without having to pay extra. Hulu is probably through one of like the Stars or other plugins or types of things. So,
I wonder if we could get Al Pacino to actually be a friend of the show.
I don't know if he knows what a Cornhusker is.
I don't think that guy's ever watched a down of college football in his life. No. Oh, another great Pacino movie that I love, but it's totally over the top Pacino. The Insider with him and Russell Crowe.
I feel like I've seen that, but it's probably been a minute.
Tobacco whistleblower in the 90s.
No, I don't think I've seen that. No.
Great movie. But yeah, dude's never watched a down of college football.
You know who we have better luck getting on because of his ties, his movie ties to Nebraska? Jim Carrey.
Yep, probably. That'd be a good one. We should does he have a Twitter and Instagram?
Oh, probably both. Probably both. Probably more so Instagram. He probably jumped off when Elon bought X. I don't know.
You know what we should do next year? And everybody's probably like, hey, I want to hear about Nebraska, Michigan State. Well, I was there. I don't want to talk about it. What we should do is we should try to find a celebrity, and I mean like a D-list celebrity, for each school that we play next year and have them on the reaction show next off season.
Oh, so like this time next year?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if you meant like the weekend after the game.
No. That turned into like, I don't know what celebrity for Ashton Kutcher from Iowa, and I just be like, if we lost.
Let's see here. Let's just start. Who would be for UTEP?
Are we gonna have to talk to like Josh Lucas, who played Coach Don Haskins in Glory Road?
Tim Hardaway.
Yeah, are we have to go like super tangential here?
I think this honestly, if we could pull this one off for UTEP, we might do the show and then never. Ed Hockley. Ed Hockley is a UTEP alum.
Yeah, him and I could just stand there flex, how he always.
Oh man, I didn't know we were gonna start planning the future here.
All right, hold on. University of Colorado famous alumni. Robert Redford. That guy's probably never watched a down of college football in his life.
Probably not. Let's see here. Should we do this on the show or should we get back to the show?
Oh, Christopher Maloney from Law and Order. We're bringing Stabler on here.
Nobel laureate? No, we don't care about that. Just get famous people, damn it. I thought this said Alfred Hitchcock. It doesn't. He's pretty well dead, I'm sure, anyway. So,
or we just go with college football and be like, "Hey, Chris Fowler, would you like to be on our show?" All right. Anyways,
it's like Michael Scott said, quoting Wayne Gretzky: "You miss 100% of the shots you don't take."
I mean, shooters shoot. One last thing. Famous University of Northern Iowa alumni. Let's see who there are. Yeah. Woof.
Not a great selection.
I'm trying to I see one person that I know, Terry Allen, former Missouri State head football coach.
Okay.
We can talk some ball. Greg McDermott, the Creighton basketball coach.
No, I don't think we couldn't do that.
I once saw him at the Good Life Sports Bar in Omaha. Dude's like 6'9".
I'm not gonna lower this vaunted show to bring on a Creighton guy.
I'm just gonna point to one, and I hope we know who it is, or else it's gonna. Nick Nurse, the former head basketball coach of the Toronto Raptors.
No, I wouldn't know that one. I'm back here on a UTEP still. Sam Donaldson Jr., from ABC News. But here's the big one. Blackjack Mulligan.
What about for the University of Iowa after we beat them 51-14 this year? Could we get Tom Brokaw from ABC News?
No. We like our news to be real.
What about Tennessee Williams is dead. So.
Yeah.
Ashton Kutcher did it. Gene Wilder, if he's still alive.
There's a tremendous documentary about Gene Wilder on Netflix.
God, Tom Arnold went to Iowa. I always knew I didn't like him. He's a douchebag.
What?
Yeah, I don't like Tom Arnold.
Did you ever see the movie The Stupids?
No, I did not.
So you need to jump on your Google machine. There's a song in that his character sings in this, and it's called "I'm My Own Grandpa."
Okay.
And for that alone,
you want to have him on?
No, but the song is so absurd, and it's so I don't know how many takes they needed to get the song, but it's there are moments and they're like, that is it takes some, I would imagine, some amount of talent to be able to rattle off this version of, his family tree. Anyway, we're a little off topic, and that's okay.
All right. So I'll message Tom Arnold and be like, hey, when Nebraska beats you 51-14, you want to come on our show? I'm sure it'll go over really well.
6 months later. 6 months later. Not when the wounds are fresh. Again, this is emotionally detached. Yeah.
Honestly, I think it's a great idea to find some. And if we can't, we'll just crowdsource somebody. And it can't be an SB Nation writer for the other team. We're just gonna find some rando.
We will subject them to our 9 o'clock recording times.
They're going to love it, man. But anyways, back to Michigan State.
Yep.
We had some shots there at the end to still win. If pass protection could have held up on that final drive, there were opportunities where Jalen Lloyd was open, Malachi Coleman were open, but offensive tackles kind of got their ass kicked in that game, and it just wasn't to be. I will say, as disappointed as I was in losing that game, I kept thinking, like, okay, this is a team that just 2 years ago was in the Peach Bowl. They had a really good year that in 21. In 22, I can't really remember what they did, but they had probably developed at a little bit of and recruited at a little bit of a higher rate than we had post 2020. But leaving there, I was disappointed, but I was thinking, hey, like we got.
Would you say like that recruiting, would that have been the Mel Tucker influence?
Yeah.
Sorry,
I thought Mel Tucker was actually a pretty good coach. He just couldn't. I'm not going to say it. We're a family show.
Are we?
I don't know. He should have just kept it zipped up. There we go.
Shouldn't have stepped out. We'll put it that way.
Yeah.
So
he shouldn't have. Yeah. We'll keep it there.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I thought at this point, I'm like, hey, we got 3 more shots for bowl eligibility, and at this point, the West was still on the table. So that's the story of East Lansing, Michigan. If you're there, do not go to the Peanut Barrel, do not go to Harrison's Roadhouse, and do not go to the Comfort Inn and Suites in Diamonddale, Michigan. But do go to Meyer. Great store.
I'm looking up the Peanut Barrel.
Oh, man.
What's the matter with the Peanut Barrel?
Horrible service. Like
okay.
Outright hostile service. One of my buddy actually, he affectionately calls it the penis brittle.
Okay. Well, outwardly hostile. Hey, 4.4 out of 5 on Google with one shy of 1,200 reviews must be wrong.
The food was good.
The food was good. Service was much to be desired, as my mom would say. And they close soon. Let me ask you this, because
I had a Molson there for the first time in my life. Whoa. Yeah.
That was one of those, because Michigan, that was an 11 o'clock kickoff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I don't know where the hell I was going to go with that question.
You're really trying to give the Peanut Barrel the benefit of the doubt here, aren't you?
No. I was thinking.
All right, counselor.
Because I have, I don't want to say concerns. I don't like all the conference realignment. And so I think it's nuts that Washington, Oregon, USC, UCLA are going to potentially have to play 11 o'clock kickoffs
In East Lansing.
Or Piscataway or Columbus or College Station. Just none of that makes any sense to me. I understand that the dollars have taken over, and it is what it is, and there's no going back. You cannot put that particular toothpaste back in the tube. But, man, it just – college football is not what it was.
It's not, and it bothers me because one of the things I've always loved about college football is it's a regional sport, and because it's a regional sport, the cultural aspects of it are what make for great rivalries because people are so similar to one another. Nebraskans and Iowans, much as we don't want to admit it, we are very similar to one another.
I mean, Nebraskans are better, but
yeah, Nebraskans are better. It's just a fact of life, But yeah, I mean, I don't like how Cal is in the ACC now, and their 5 road games tally at 24,009 miles.
Yeah.
And the circumference of the earth is 25,000. SMU is in the ACC now.
That doesn't.
There's 2 teams in the Pac-12. I don't friggin' get it.
Is Nebraska to blame?
No,
because Nebraska was like the first major one to jump.
You know who is?
Texas. Yeah. Well, I mean, I know that. But what the environment that Texas created, look, I don't like Texas. I hate Texas, but I don't want
You
people
sound like a Texas apologist right now.
No, I don't want people to come back and say, "Oh, he's just a better Husker fan."
They started this all the way back in 1996. We
Okay.
let the Texas schools into the Big 12 or the Big 8. They were supposed to abide by the Big 8 handbook, the Big 8 record book. The headquarters were still supposed to be in Kansas City. They joined the conference. Then they start pulling power plays, and every vote is 11-1, 11 schools against one dissenting school, and that was Nebraska. The conference league offices got moved from Kansas City down to Dallas. The 11 schools voted to eliminate Proposition 48 cases, which allowed players who didn't qualify academically to come on, still sign with the school, red shirt for a year, practice, lift weights. And then the second year they were eligible. 11-1 on eliminating the Big 8 record book. So Mike Rozier would have been the record that Ricky Williams would have had to break. Just so many different things. 11-1. Tom Osborne didn't want a Big 12 title game, didn't want a league championship game. It was 11-1. And so this is like giving four homeless people a place to live in your house. And then suddenly you come home and they bought new furniture. They painted the walls. They knocked out a wall. They ripped up the carpet, and they're making your home their home. That's the analogy of it. And to the Oklahoma schools, and this is why I love how OU's going to struggle in the SEC. And I love how they're married to Texas, and they traded basically Nebraska, to put it into, some terms, was like a king, we were a king of the conference, but we still abided by the rules of the rule book, everything, didn't try to throw around political weight. But all those schools, Oklahoma especially, I want to single them out. They traded a king for a tyrant in Texas. And that Texas ran roughshod politically in that league. And I think more people need to recognize that this is all Texas's fault. You trace it back to the implosion of the Southwestern Conference,
which is all probably Texas's fault.
Yep.
I'm not trying to be a smart ass there. I mean, I imagine it was their seeking better. I don't want to say probably more fortuitous grounds to sow their dissent,
or maybe they're home wreckers. They just destroy conferences.
And if that's the case, good luck doing that in the SEC. I think.
Yeah, you get your ass kicked there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we've covered a wide range of topics. Al Pacino's movie history, conference realignment, the peanut barrel.
Somewhere in there, the Michigan State loss.
But I think that next week we're talking about the loss that I took the hardest last year. And shocker, Iowa was not the one that hit me the worst.
No.
It was the one that came after East Lansing.
We're going to talk about that next week. It's going to be Nebraska, Maryland. It's from Lincoln. It's another one-score loss because
we love
of course it would be. That is our second biggest claim to fame. We've got the sellout streak, and we've got the one-score losses. A record of one-score losses over the last almost decade at this point. So, we'll talk about Nebraska, Maryland next week. Little sneak peek. Don't be surprised if we're wearing the same exact clothes. What does it mean? I don't know. But that's coming.
Neither of us know how to do laundry.
Oh, excuse you, sir. I'm the laundry king in my house.
I actually like doing laundry. I don't mind it.
There is not much more. In the
there's
chaos.
Only one person. I'm a bachelor, so there's only one person in my house that can do it.
I was going to say, in the chaos of my home, just taking a basket of laundry upstairs, dumping all it out on my bed and folding it while I'm watching something on TV and hanging stuff up. That's as peaceful as it gets in my house sometimes.
I'm going to remember that for when, I find myself married with children.
But love and marriage. All right. We'll see you next week right here on Corn Nation's YouTube channel. So make sure that you let me throw the little graphic up there if I can. Yes. Make sure that you hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and ring that bell for notifications so every time we drop a new episode. And for you members of the channel, reminder that you get this a couple hours early. Because why not? You got to get something.
You care.
We care. You got to get a little something for all your efforts. So for that, my good friend, fellow Husker fan, and longtime broadcast buddy, Hoss Reuter, I'm Greg Mahochko. This is Corn Nation Overreaction Revisited, and we bid you a fond farewell and go Big Red. Hoss.
The road goes on forever and the party never ends.
You.